Hey, Walt here from StogieReview.com with another video cigar review. This time around I am smoking the Diesel Wicked, and this is a bit of an extension on the original series that I began doing a little while back and never got around to finishing. So a couple of months back I started reviewing a variety of Diesel products. It came as a suggestion from Jerry after I had reviewed the Diesel Unholy Cocktail. He suggested I go out and put a series together, pick up some of the varieties of Diesel and kind of review them in series. So we started doing that, and I got sidetracked. I had other things going on. I got bogged down, and I never got around to finishing the series. So there's actually a couple of cigars left that I intend on going out and purchasing at some point, but this time around we're smoking the Wicked. I'm pretty sure this is only available in one size, which is a Bellicoso, and it is rather expensive, which is kind of funny because when I first started getting into cigars, you know, I was my early foray into the catalog companies came from JR Cigar. I was buying the Cuban alternatives, or the JR alternatives to Cuban varieties, and you know, that sort of set the stage in my mind for house blends. I always thought of them as inexpensive cigars, you know, for catalog companies. As I became more engrossed in the hobby and, you know, learned more about it, I realized that there was a lot more to house blends than, you know, just the cheap stuff in the catalogs. And, you know, it sort of broadened my horizons. But I always thought of house blends, even going forward and purchasing house blends in local shops, you know, I always thought of them as a little bit more budget friendly than, you know, some of your ultra premiums. So you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see to walk into a store and see a house blend for $5, $6, $7, $8. You know, it really wouldn't faze me too much. But when I walked into Cigars International and I saw the box of Diesel Wicked sitting on the counter, and I picked one up out of reflex because I knew I was doing the series, or I picked two up or something like that. When the cashier rung it up and I saw $13, my eyes sort of bugged out of my head. I couldn't believe that I had spent that much money on a house blend. You know, I just wasn't accustomed to spending that kind of cash on a catalog's house blend. It had better be good, you know, at that point. So I think I bought two of them at that point, and I was going to wait toward the end of the series to review them because, you know, apparently they had just been featured on the cover of either Cigar.com's catalog or Cigars International's catalog, and there was a little bit of a buzz brewing about them. So I was saving them for the last bit of the series, and I just never got around to doing them. I got totally lost my train of thought there, but. So they're about $13 in store, $12, $13. You can get them for $50 a 5-pack or $99 for a box of 13. Just as you would imagine with a name like Diesel Wicked, they have this sort of badass persona about them. They're packaged in the scary-looking black box with red accents. The cigar has a massive footband on it that says Wicked. It's sort of modeled after the bottom of a tubo. It looks kind of cool, a little gaudy, but I like it. The band is dark with red accents. The cigar itself is it seems to be really well constructed. I was kind of giving it a pre-light pinch earlier on, and I was a bit concerned that it was going to draw tight because of how firm it is. It feels like it's got a ton of tobacco in there, but it's drawing beautifully. The wrapper is nice and dark. It's got oily. It's oily, but it's got more than the rest oilier patches throughout. It's got a sort of a splotchy dark coloring to it, so you know it looks like a sort of rugged, aggressive cigar from the visual appeal as far as the packaging is concerned, all the way down to the construction. It's off to a decent start. It's very full-bodied, just as you would imagine with the name, and smoke volume is good. It's coating the palate. It's a bit heavy on the palate. It's got some nicotine oomph to it. Even this early on, I'm getting sort of that punched in the gut kind of feel from you know, from the nicotine volume. Not really getting much in terms of flavors. At this point, it's just really aggressive and really thick and hearty. sort of like a meaty taste, but no refined flavors at this point. So I would imagine cigar will settle out a little bit as I smoke through, and then flavors will start to come forward, unless it's totally unbalanced, in which case the flavors will never come forward. But we'll find that out shortly. I'm coming up on the halfway point now of my Diesel Wicked, and I'm a little bit disappointed at this point. Actually, I'm more than a little bit disappointed. When I first started smoking this cigar, it was very powerful, very full-flavored, kind of in-your-face, just power, strength, full-bodied, thick smoke. And I really wanted it to settle down a little bit. I wanted the smoke to settle back and the flavors to come forward. But I'm really not getting any of that at this point. It's still just as powerful and just as thick and just as strong as it was in the beginning. Maybe there was a little bit of settling, but not much. And the flavors are very subdued. This is another case of, as far as I'm concerned, this is another case of a cigar being very unbalanced. In this case, the cigar is favored towards, just being full flavor or being full bodied. It's all about the strength and the power, and it's lacking the finesse that I really like in cigars. That's one of the big reasons I like medium bodied cigars. It pulls the flavor profile down, or I'm sorry, it pulls the body down and the strength down, and allows the flavor profile to rise up and become the center point. Some full-bodied cigars struggle with that aspect. There are some that do it beautifully, but this is one of those cases where you've got just an in-your-face, strong, powerful cigar, and the flavor is just laying there. It's like a dead fish. It's not doing anything. I just want it to come alive and make this experience memorable, but it's not. It's just very disappointing at this point. In terms of flavors, I'm getting just a sort of a thick, smoky, meaty kind of a thing going on, with no real defined flavors. It's just, I really wish I could tell you all the great things about this cigar, but it's lacking in the one aspect that I value most in cigars, and that's flavor. If you're into just in-your-face, powerful smoke, this is it. It's got all the power behind it. You'll love it, but it's lacking the other side of the spectrum. In terms of smokability, it's doing really well. It provides lots of smoke. It's nice and thick. It coats the palate well. Despite being really firm when I was giving it like a pre-light fondling, checking the the fill, I was a little afraid that the cigar was going to draw miserably because of how tight it was. I thought maybe it was going to take a lot of effort to get a little bit of smoke, but that's really not the case. You get tons and tons of smoke. The draw is nice. The burn rate's good. The smoke volume is excellent. I haven't had to touch it up once, which is another problem with a lot of really full-bodied cigars. They don't tend to burn very well, but this one seems to be doing really well in that regard. So, at this point, $13, I don't want to say it was a waste of money, but I wouldn't spend another $13 on one of these cigars. Not unless it gets remarkably better when I come back and do the wrap-up. But I'm kind of giving the review away at this point. But if the cigar is more of this later, I wouldn't buy another one. And I wouldn't recommend you buy one, unless, of course, you like in-your-face, full-body, wicked cigars. I'm coming down the home stretch now with my Diesel Wicked, and I'm happy to say that things are picking up. The flavor is starting to come alive. It's got a nice, it's just a really nice, hearty, earthy, sort of meaty texture about it, or flavor about it, and it's most apparent when you retrohale the smoke. You get it, swirling around, get it out through the sinus, and the flavors start to come alive. Unfortunately, I really think it's too little too late at this point. I mean, I don't want to say that it's been a chore to smoke this cigar, but it's been nothing memorable up until this point. Now things are getting interesting, but I've had to go through a lot of cigar before it started to come around. The flavor profile is becoming more of what I would consider to be full flavored. The body is still very much full. The finish is nice and oily and thick, kind of lingers on the palate for quite a while. You know, that lingering taste on the palate has a bit of a sort of like a smoky kind of charred wood aroma to it, or taste to it, and it's quite pleasant. The cigar is still smoking beautifully. Lots of smoke. It's nice and thick, coats the palate. No burn issues whatsoever. The ash is holding on for about an inch before a firm tap knocks it off into the ashtray. No unexpected surprises falling into my lap. Good, solid construction. I think it's in terms of what you would expect from a $13 cigar from a construction standpoint. I think everything is there. In terms of flavor, though, I really think it's lacking. I think if this were maybe a $6 cigar, I think I would be more excited about it. But at $13, or even at $10 if you're buying a 5-pack, I just don't think there's enough there. And personally, I would rather spend the money on something like a Hoyo de Nicaragua Antonio, the 1970s, because I think you get a much better flavor to power ratio. And this one is just, even though it's coming together and everything is balancing out right now, there was just far too much cigar that was unbalanced, and it really kind of turned me off. I just can't see spending this kind of money on a cigar that's not going to deliver, you know, from start to finish. It's just too little too late. So I think that's going to wrap it up for the Diesel Wicked review. I want to thank you for watching, downloading, subscribing, iTunes reviews, you know, comments on the website, interaction on Facebook, interaction on Twitter, interaction on Google+, the shares on Pinterest, you know, all of that stuff. I really appreciate all the support that we've gotten over the past 7 years. And until next time, happy smoking, and I will catch you later.